Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch.
The Golden
Bachelor. Hey, y'all, hey. Welcome to
Hi.
Sisters Who Watch.
Hey,
I'm Shelby.
And I'm Laura. And we're sisters who watch everything. TV, movies, sports, concerts, and even seniors looking for love.
We love love.
We love to watch, and we love talking about it even more. Today we're watching The Golden
Bachelor. Season 1. Hopefully there's another one. Not sure yet.
Yes, please.
Season 1 was great.
Okay, before we get started, we just want to remind y'all to please rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of our social medias, TikTok. We really appreciate your support.
Yes.
Okay, Shelby. Oh my gosh, we have a special
Exciting
guest.
news. Our mother is here with us today.
Ah,
oh, hello, podcast world. Hey.
We're so excited. The one and only Shelby and Laura's mom.
That's right. I am so glad to be here. Wow. Thank you, ladies, for inviting me to be a part of this program today.
of course.
So excited to have you on, our number one fan.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here. And I have to say, I'm very proud of the two of you for making your dream a reality, for coming up with this concept and doing all this on your own together. It really makes me very proud. And I'm also fairly objective. And I'm going to say, you guys put out a really good product. Your content is very interesting. I've learned a lot. There's some shows now I want to watch just because of your take and debrief. So thank you so much. And I really hope people tell their friends and family members to watch you guys because you really are amazing. And you really are a wonderful representation of young women of color and doing something that is a positive and really uplifting. So thank you so much for doing this. And thank you again for making me a part of this today.
Oh, thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mother.
Of course.
Happy
You've
to have
been
you
a highly
on.
anticipated guest we've wanted to have on since the beginning.
Big
so,
moment.
Of course.
Yes. We tried to get you on our Love Island episode, so glad you're here for the Golden Bachelor.
Next time.
And Mom, is there anything else the people need to know about you want the listeners to know about Shelby and Laura's mom?
Well, only that I'm a proud mom and I live in New York, but I'm originally from California and I'm a huge sports fan, which is why you guys do a lot of amazing takes on sporting events. So I think, you come by that naturally. But I'm a fan. I love old movies and new movies. That's probably why your brother was a film major in college. I think all of you and Shelby, you're in the entertainment industry. You guys, again, come by that honestly, because you were exposed to that really throughout your, years growing up at home and even afterwards. So that's a little bit about me. I love reality television, and it's a way to sort of like, Calgon, take me away moment. So I enjoy it. I enjoy it. And it's a fun show to watch.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing. We got it from our mama, if you couldn't tell.
That's
Sports
right.
check, reality TV check, right?
Yes.
Film.
Check.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, Shelby, tell us about the background of the long-awaited Golden Bachelor.
Yes. Here is the logline for all of you. Follow a new kind of love for the golden years, when a hopeless romantic is given a second chance at love in the search for a partner with whom to share the sunset years of life.
Wow.
So sweet.
Coming into the show, The Golden Bachelor, if you have listened to us at all, we reference the Bachelor franchise a lot in our podcast because we've been watching for such a long time. And Mom, you're the perfect person for this episode because you've been watching The Bachelor since the first season.
I can't believe that, but that is true. That is true. And I don't even know how I came across the show all those many years ago. But I remember the first Bachelor, he just looked a little, he was okay, Alec. But then there was Trisha, the Bachelorette, and she ended up finding love. And I remember at that uh, last episode when it was between one man and another, and I kept thinking, Ryan, he's the dark horse. He's got that smoldering, sort of quiet demeanor. He was tall, he was hunky, but he was quiet. And she chose Ryan. Yay! And they got married, have children, and are living happily ever after. So, apparently the show can work. That was very, very early on. Again, she was the first Bachelorette. So when you look back at the history, there are people who have actually found love, married, had families, and are still together today.
And Trista actually made an appearance this season for Gerry. She was a mentor for him, which was really interesting. Okay, so what were our expectations coming into season 1 of The Golden Bachelor? This was highly anticipated. They've been talking about this for years, and it finally happened.
Honestly, I think what I wanted to see were women who were active and bright and engaging and fun, after age 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, because they exist. And I think to see them spotlighted in such a way was exciting. So I was thrilled for that reason, because I think what happens, sometimes, and this was said on the show by some of the women, once you're past your 30s, your 20s or 30s, you've had your family, you've had a career. Some people think, all right, you've had your turn now, step to the side. It's our turn. And one of the women actually said that. And I think, people still have a lot to offer. They still have a purpose to fulfill. They still have a lot to give. So why not show them in a show like this where they can have an opportunity to find love like the younger contestants can do?
I had been excited for a while because we had seen the ads while watching The Bachelor and The Bachelorette for a while of them saying, oh, are you in your 50s or 60s looking for love? They had been promoting this, dropping breadcrumbs. So I want to say at least 5 years. It had been a while. At least. So I was exciting for finally this to be happening. Also because the last few seasons of The Bachelor, Bachelorette, and Bachelor in Paradise haven't been that great. I'm going to be honest.
No.
BIP last year, didn't love. I haven't seen the most recent Bachelor seasons because I wasn't a big fan of Zach or Clayton. So this felt like a way to get people excited about the franchise again, because I had been feeling it was on a downward trend.
I totally agree. The past several seasons of The Bachelor and Bachelorette have just been a complete hot mess.
Train wreck.
So I was excited. This was so refreshing. This was new. I feel like Gerry and just all the women of the season brought new life into the franchise. And this was one of the first seasons I was really excited for in a long time. So, and when they announced Gerry and they showed his story and his family, I mean, oh my goodness. Yeah. Tears.
And the cast, I don't know where they found this guy, honestly. Where? They could not have cast a better Golden Bachelor. Gerry, really? He said all the right things. He looked good. He seemed earnest. He seemed authentic. He was emotive. Articulate. Where'd they find him? And he just seemed like a normal, nice guy. So, I was thrilled. But I have to say something, guys. What I find interesting, people of my generation sure may be interested in the Golden Bachelor, but I'm fascinated by the fact that you two were excited about seeing a Golden Bachelor show or season. Tell me why it didn't really make a difference to you whether the Bachelor was 30 or 72.
Right. I feel like the Bachelor recently, the past 5 years or so, everyone is 23, 24, and they all just want to become influencers. And I'm just sick and tired of seeing these really immature people on TV who have no business in getting engaged or married. Why are you on the show at 23 or 24? It doesn't make any sense.
Too young.
Too young. They just are there for the followers. It's so obvious. And I was just excited for people who weren't here for the fame, who genuinely just wanted to find someone and are smart and have, more to them. We weren't getting a lot of personality from these 24-year-olds on the regular show. Whereas I loved the cast this season. I just felt like they had so much more to offer the audience, and it was a much more interesting, engaging season for that reason.
100% agree. We went from like very like emotionally immature clowns that just want to be models, influencers, not thinking about love, to like the opposite, like women and then Gerry that are so focused on finding love and are so mature and were wholesome and weren't fighting. Like it was like the polar opposite. And I think we all needed some more wholesome, realistic love. So for me, I was excited. I was tired of all the drama and mess, the fake relationships, and I was ready to see something real because the franchise had been lacking that.
You know, I think you make a great point because, you know, when you see some of these fights between the women and you're thinking, wait, why are you going there? What is the purpose of this? And some of these people were just being outright mean and nasty. And I thought, wait, why are you behaving this way? And you then begin to realize, oh, wait, the nastier I am, the more screen time I get. And so let me continue this narrative because guess what? I'm going to get more screen time. And that is perpetuated. You see it season after season. And guess what happens? Who do they invite to Bachelor in Paradise? Those same mean, nasty people. So I don't even understand. I think they're rewarding bad behavior. And to your point, here are women and men who are like, listen, been there, done that. You know, I'm comfortable in my own skin. I don't have any time to waste and play around. I want to be in a relationship. I want to find my person. This might be a way to do that. So let's see what happens.
And I think the broader public was excited. It seemed like there was so much passion for the Golden Bachelor, especially when they announced Gerry. It's like everyone was ready for this. It became a cultural moment.
To your point, Mom, I totally agree. We were excited to see these women who are mature finally get their time, get their partner, find their love. And I think that's a huge theme of the season. Love later in life, love at an older age. We see that some of the women, there were a lot of widows there, you know, who had a super long marriage and their husbands recently died and they're trying to put themselves back out there. And then you saw some other people, you know, like Leslie, who didn't have that one true love, you know, had a couple different marriages, were divorced. So we see so many different paths that led these women here. And I really liked exploring those different relationships and seeing widows, seeing people who were divorced, seeing people who hadn't found the one yet. So that was a huge theme. Age is just a number. Anyone can fall in love.
That's Loved right. It. Don't forget that, girls.
Yes. And I think they really showed age is just a number, right? They were active and fun and like just happy. And they were having like the fun girl chats and they were playing the pickleball date and they did, what's that funny game?
Never Have I Ever.
Never Have I Ever. They did Never Have I Ever. Like anyone can play that.
Hilarious.
Right?
Yes. Because they're like, we were younger back in the day. We might have done a few things that were sort of fun and, you know, maybe a little risky. And these older women, when they saw Gerry, they came running, Gerry, and they jumped into his arms. I'm like, you go, girl, jump into those arms. They're like, I might be 70, but I can still jump.
That's it.
Truly.
My gosh. But it just mirrored the younger version of the show. And I thought it was fun to see that. And like you said, frolicking in the pool, you know, playing those games, cooking in the kitchen together. But I will say something about the pool. Let me say something about the pool.
Oh.
Did you notice that Sandra was not in the pool and all the other women were in the pool?
I did not notice that.
Hey, girl, she's worried about that hair. I'm like, come on, Sandra, get in the pool. You can rinse the chlorine out later, blow dry, and put some electric rollers in there, girl. Come on, get into the pool.
I initially thought it might be maybe she wasn't as close to the other women because I felt like there were a couple times when she wasn't with the group. So I thought, maybe she was a bit of a loner doing her own thing. But the fact that she was protecting her hair thinks a really good hypothesis. Yeah. I would get it. But I mean, put it in a bun. You know, you could just put your head
That's
above
what
the
I'm
water. She could
saying.
have made
I
it
just
work.
wanted her to be there in the middle of all that, looking like she was having fun.
I agree. The cast, just period, was one of the highlights of the season. One of my favorite moments. Just seeing them interact, the Never Ever ice cream game. That was one of my favorite moments. I could have watched that for the whole episode. Just them playing Never Ever
That's
Ever.
great.
Because it was so funny. They were so carefree and I loved it. And just shows like, yeah, grandmas can just have as much fun as these like 23-year-olds, right? So
they're more confident,
really love that moment.
less insecure. So like, yeah, let's just talk about it. Let's just play this game.
Yes.
Whereas
Yes.
you have 25-year-olds doing that, it's about comparison and there's more jockeying. So I think that's another difference. Like they just felt a lot more free to be themselves.
Oh, 100%. It was like no judgment between them pretty much the whole time. So that was great.
Remember when they would show, I mean, they would talk about, oh, your hair is so pretty and oh, you look so nice in that dress. And they were always complimenting each other and oh, you're such a good cook. And just, I love the positivity. And that was truly evident throughout this season. I mean, a couple of moments here and there, and really, I mean, moments. And really, you can attribute those to one person. That was sort of Kathy, right? He was a little mean to Theresa.
Yeah,
but really, overall, it was a very positive group of women, and I think you know that made the show even more enjoyable.
Right.
Agreed.
What did y'all think of the change to 1 hour episodes for the Golden Bachelor?
I was fine with that. It didn't really bother me. What did you guys think?
I loved it. Nice and quick. Clearly, the episodes do not need to be as long. Like, I don't think I can go back to watching 2 hours episodes of The Bachelor. It's too long.
Oh my gosh, I actually forgot. I didn't remember that those were 2 hours. And that's a long time. No, an hour is all they need, honestly.
Yeah, an hour is all they need. I will say, I was like, of course they make it an hour when I actually like the cast. Because of all the times for it to be 2 hours, I would want it to be this time.
Right.
So there's more time to see them. So I did feel that, like, even though I liked how short it was almost like a disservice to the cast because they were so good. Like, I would have loved them to get more airtime.
That's how I felt. I wanted more. I was enjoying it so much. I was like, I need to see more of these women. But it was only an hour, so it was rapid fire. We didn't get as much time or, you know, we didn't get as much screen time learning about all the different women and their stories. I could have watched 2 hours of The Golden Bachelor. But instead, they made Bachelor in Paradise 2 hours and made The Golden Bachelor 1. Make Bachelor in Paradise 1 hour. Make it 30 minutes. Cancel the show.
Guys,
Give me 2 hours of The Golden Bachelor.
I told y'all after last year.
Wait a minute. Wait a sec. I tried to look at this show. Oh my gosh. I mean, I got to a place where I'm like, let me fast forward. I can't even watch these people at all. Zip, zip, zip. All right, let me hear what they have to say. It's too long. And it feels so manufactured. And oh, how coincidental! This person comes down the steps and into the no. It's like really lowbrow. I mean, some people might say all of these shows are lowbrow, but honestly, I feel like that is really lowbrow TV. It's hard for me to watch that.
Yeah, cancel Bachelor in Paradise and make The Golden Bachelor 2 hours. In conclusion,
check. All right.
What other favorite moments did y'all have this season?
Well, there were a lot. I mean, I just love the women being together and just seeing them interact. But I think one of my probably favorite moments was the pickleball tournament, and really watching them like run across the court and like
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Sandra ran into the crowd to get that one ball. I'm like, okay, girl, come on. You know, her arms look like Michelle Obama's arms, nice and like toned and muscular. Come on, girl. But wait, they were like boom, boom. But when April fell down and said, ow,
iconic.
Oh, I hurt my ankle. And then Gerry jumped up. Oh, are you okay? I'm like, girl. And she looked at the camera and kind of winked. I said, okay. That was hilarious. But you know what? I mean, I thought she was a character, and she is obviously getting more screen time. I don't know if you remember seeing trailers where she is in Joey's season. They've got some sort of, in Joey's season. But listen, the woman, she's 65, she's beautiful, she's a therapist. She was hilarious. But I love that scene where she, ow. So you see, even if you're 65, you can still like, oh, I need a man to rescue me. You can do it at 25 and you can do it at 65.
Right. April wrote the rule book, right? She's doing it.
She's a therapist. She knows what she's doing. Okay.
She knows exactly what she's doing. April is iconic. Shelby and I've been saying I would love to see a Golden Bachelor in Paradise. That's what I would love to see. And April would be perfect for that.
Oh, Laura, I love that idea.
Yeah.
I think that would be hilarious.
I want to watch it right now. Like, it needs to happen.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Because listen, they're mostly retired. They can get away for 4-6 weeks, whatever it is.
Shelby, what favorite moments did you have this season?
Well, of course, the pickleball date, like mom, I thought it was amazing. And then our new bachelor, Joey, even made an appearance. So it was great to see him.
That's right.
He looks great.
Mm-hmm.
And I also thought opening night was kind of fun. Like the first rose ceremony, all the women arriving, seeing their different like funny entrance moments. And then of course Jimmy Kimmel's Aunt Chippy showing up. That was hilarious.
I forgot about that. That was so funny. When she was asleep, she said, "What did I get my rose? Where's my rose?"
So funny.
Yeah, so that was really fun. And then I really liked the Women Tell All. I feel like typically I could care less about that episode, but because this cast was so good, I love seeing their personalities and the jokes and hearing the anecdotes about Susan's cooking and how they should have chairs at the rose ceremony. Like they just said like the funniest things and have such good chemistry as a group. So I really enjoyed watching all of the women in that episode.
Yes, I agree. I enjoyed opening night. Seeing all the women being so active in their dresses, they looked amazing. Yes. I remember Leslie's entrance stood out to me. Remember, she had the walker and she had like the gray wig on and the gown and the hospital gown. That was Leslie. And then she like ripped it off and she had that short dress and she was like, "Gerry, I'm ready for you," something like that. And then I remember Susan with the meatballs. She was like, she had these high heels on. She was like, "Now you know I can handle 6 inches," like something like that to Gerry.
That's right. And he's like,
the women came out swinging opening night.
They did. Remember, Theresa had on that sort of see-through mesh skin.
Her birthday suit.
Her birthday suit.
Saying it was her birthday suit, and it was her birthday. And I mean, that was clever. That was well done. I mean, you wonder how much do the producers get involved in sort of helping them come up with these ideas? Because
that's true.
I mean, some of these are very clever, and they pull them off seamlessly. But I just wonder about that.
Mm-hmm. Because didn't Faith come in on a motorcycle?
That is correct.
I always wonder, how do some people get to come in on something like that versus others through the limo? Like, how do they decide?
Well, yeah, and then you see the women who come in and basically they just have maybe a cute line or two, and then when they come in, and the other part, when you talk about opening night, they're also looking through the crack of the door or the window and saying, "Oh, she came in on a motorcycle. They were busy looking at just as though they were, in the season with the younger contestants." So I thought that was funny because you do sort of wonder, well, who else is joining us, and are they doing anything unique and special to get Gerry's attention?
Right. Mm-hmm. And I also agree, Shelby. I usually do not like the Women Tell All or Men Tell All. Or sometimes I even skip it, right? But I loved the Women Tell All this year. It was so fun. I love seeing them interact together. It seems like they're actually friends. Yes. And the bloopers, I never liked the bloopers.
Finally
I loved
funny.
The bloopers. Finally. Hilarious. Wow.
They were so funny. Oh my gosh. I mean, and you could look at Jesse, like he genuinely looked like he was cracking up. Like
it was the happiest Jesse has looked while on the Bachelor franchise.
he was having a I mean, even the interactions with Gerry throughout the season, and Gary's like, "Would you ask your grandfather that? Would you ask your parents this?" He's like, "Oh, okay, no more TMI, no more. I mean, it was just fun, that whole banter back and forth.
So we get to the final 2 post the One to All, right? And Gerry proposes to Theresa. Spoiler alert. And I don't know about y'all. I wasn't even expecting a proposal. I was surprised that was even happening. Because I guess I was like, they're both in their 70s. I think Theresa's 1 year younger than Gerry. So I was like, I feel like at that age, I mean, I'm curious what y'all think. Like, is it necessary to even get married, right? You can just live together, or maybe some people just want that ring for the marriage.
Well, I absolutely have thoughts on this. So I have friends, my contemporaries, who are like, girl, I am not looking for a husband, not now. I don't want to take care of anybody. I'm not going to be a nurse. Oh, heck no. And if I am going to be with someone, he has to have at least what I have, because there's no sharing in assets, because that could get messy on some level, right? Because at this point, you've amassed whatever amount of wealth you may have, as has someone else. And let's say, you're a widow or widower, or you're divorced, whatever it may be. And you have children that you will leave these things to, right? Now imagine you're bringing all this together, then things can get awkward and difficult. And maybe his children are sort of looking at you with this, side eye and wondering, are you with my dad because he has ABC? And if something happens to my dad, are you going to, try to come in and take everything and leave us with nothing? I mean, I've seen this and I've heard this. All right. These are not just things I'm dreaming up. I've actually heard these conversations. And I also know there's some women who are like, listen, I just want a companion. I want someone to travel with. I want to go to the movies with this person. I want to go antiquing with this person, to, sporting events, whatever it may be. We don't have to get married. We have our own. So I'm with you, Laura.
I was not surprised that there was a proposal, because Gerry and Theresa seemed like so focused. Like, maybe if it was Leslie or Faith or someone who maybe there was a bit more concern about like marriage or the next step, but Theresa was all in and Gerry seemed determined. So in the way of the show, like the structure of the show, I'm not shocked that they got engaged at the end. And Gerry also just seems like more of a traditional kind of guy. So I'm not sure if how he would feel with, just living together, being partners without marriage. So for Gerry in particular, I think it makes a lot of sense. But I think what you both are bringing up is an interesting point that, maybe you don't need to get married later in life, given all of the other things you have to think about.
Right. And I have to say, I wasn't the biggest Theresa fan the whole season. She was in some drama, and we're gonna get into that in a moment. But the engagement and Gerry's speech was very sweet.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. It was very emotional. Gerry is in touch with his emotions, right? So I liked his speech. I thought it was really good.
Laura, I want to piggyback on what you said about Theresa. I wasn't so sure that she was the right fit for Gerry either. I almost felt like she was fawning all over Gerry. Like, oh my gosh, he's the one. I know he's the one. Oh my gosh, he's amazing. And I'm thinking, wait, have you been on like a date with this guy? Like 2 dates? And now you're like, he's the one. I'm in love. I'm falling. I know he's the one. I always am a little suspicious of people who fall that hard so fast, especially when you're in that sort of environment, right? And there are 22 other women or 21 other women vying for his attention. It just seems a lot. And I think there are people out there who absolutely want to partner up, by any means necessary. And she sort of struck me as that kind of person. Like, I want to be married. I want to be married. I mean, I just felt like Theresa was like, I love him so much. It's like, Gerry, oh yeah. Also her voice maybe got to me a little bit. It was a little airy. It's a little airy, Gerry.
Well, speaking of Theresa, one of my least favorite moments was the Theresa and Kathy drama. Some people might say it's all on Kathy, right? Kathy was like, zip it. And she was being a little maybe mean to Theresa, like telling Theresa not to talk about her time with Gerry, dates with Gerry, calling her out in front of the other women. But I definitely think Theresa did have like a role to play in it. And so, like you both, I was not the biggest Theresa fan. The reason why I didn't love her involvement in the drama was she was making it seem like she was so aloof and didn't understand why Kathy kept talking to her. After Kathy's like, oh yeah, he spoke to me, gave me a rose, and then Teresa's like, oh well, he went up to my room to comfort me. It's like, how do you not notice, read the signs, like the emotional clues?
Read the
How are
room.
you not reading the room? It was hard for me to like fully see her as genuine. Maybe she is that aloof, but how do you not know what you're saying might be affecting Kathy? And I think Kathy was being overdramatic and is more to blame, but I feel like Theresa, she had to have known a little bit that she was rubbing people the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who feign ignorance, and they darn well, they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. Oh, what, who, me? Who? I mean, come on. And to your point, these are smart women. They've lived life. She's 71 years old. She's seen a few things through the years. Maybe that was part of her charm, if you will, that she was, oh my gosh, I did not know. I'm so sorry. I think to your point, I thought Kathy was funny. She had funny moments, but I also thought, all right, Kathy, you can't control other people. And so trying to tell someone when to speak and when not to speak is not okay for you to do, and let it go. In my view, she should let it go. And then didn't that backfire on Kathy? Didn't Gerry like come after her about that at some point?
Yeah, it did backfire. He found out that Theresa was upset because like Kathy like confronted her, and Gerry then like confronted Kathy about it. And as we know, clearly Gerry liked Theresa. It's who he ended up picking. So I think that Kathy never really had a chance, but that definitely put the nail on the coffin, you know?
Yeah. Definitely.
That's
yeah. I think that Theresa is living in Theresa world, just living in her own little universe. She's a little delulu, as the kids say these days, delusional. Which is, great. Good for her.
I knew what it was. You don't have to say delusional. I knew what it was. You said delusional. I knew.
I'm saying it for the audience.
The audience. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting. There are the people listening to this. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Being sensitive about my age, I guess.
For everyone.
Okay.
Theresa is a little delusional. And I think Shelby said the perfect word, aloof. I just think she's not very self-aware. At first, I thought she was just not the smartest, but then we learned more about her career and how she is very smart. I think she's book smart, right? I just don't think she's street smart. I don't think she has as much emotional intelligence or social intelligence. After watching the whole season, she just, like Kathy, I'm kind of on team Kathy here because she was like, hey, Theresa, we understand that you and Gerry have a strong connection, but these are my boundaries. And you always talking about how much you like Gerry, how much he likes you. It's not helpful for me and my mental health, right? So she set a boundary being like, hey, like, can you not talk about it so much? And then right after Kathy explained this, Theresa's like, oh my gosh, Gerry came upstairs and confronted me and like comforted me.
Bedroom. I'm like, girl, come on.
And it's like, girl, were you not listening the entire day? She was not listening. I just think she lacks some self-awareness.
Or maybe she was like, let these ladies know I'm the one.
Gerry's
okay?
Mine. Right. So that's the thing.
No, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe she was more calculated than I'm giving her.
Listen, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, but it's real. People can be manipulative. They can do these things. But you never know because, as I said, that's sort of, I'm sweet and I'm nice. And
baby voice.
In the baby voice. And, Gerry, you're the most amazing man I've ever met. I mean, is that part of her gamesmanship? I mean, it could be. And Gerry obviously loved it.
Hey,
yeah, Gerry clearly ate it up.
Worked out for her.
You go, girl. You go.
Right?
It worked. Okay. I mean,
hats off to you.
Nobody is hating here. We're just
Worked out
breaking it
for
down
her.
and like
Right.
analyzing and debriefing. But no
Yeah.
hate. Listen, you got it.
But regardless, zip it, iconic. Kathy is
Great line.
iconic for that.
Zip
It's
it.
so funny. Zip
Oh,
it.
gosh, ouch.
And I don't know if y'all had heard this, but a lot of people were comparing Kathy to Caitlyn Jenner, how they look kind of similar.
They're doppelgangers.
No,
Yes.
no, not Kathy.
I noticed that right away.
It was Susan.
No, you're thinking of Kris Jenner.
Susan looks like
Susan
Kris.
and Kris Jenner look alike.
Kathy looks like Caitlyn, formerly known as Bruce.
Yes.
No.
So both Caitlyn and Kris Jenner's doppelgangers were on this season.
No.
Yes.
Okay, I'm done.
Noticed it right away. I called it.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should look up a photo after this.
There's tweets and
in
memes.
my mind's eye. I'm thinking about it.
The Kardashian family was well represented this season.
How weird is that? On the same
I know.
of the Golden Bachelor? What? That doesn't even make sense. Okay. But yeah. Oh, I see it now, Laura. I do.
So another least favorite moment for me is Sandra missing her daughter's wedding. We have to talk about this.
First of all, there is no way on God's green earth that I would miss my daughter's wedding for The Bachelor.
No.
This is not even logical. Girl.
No.
Oh, no. Listen, okay, sure, we all want to find love. We all want to be in a relationship, or a lot of us do, okay? But to miss your daughter's wedding for a crack at winning the heart of the Golden Bachelor, no.
Made me look at her differently.
I
if I was Sandra, I would have left the show early, knowing, right, Gerry's not going to pick me. He has stronger connections at that point with Leslie and Faith and Theresa. And I've been on the show. I've tried, gave it my all, but I want to make my daughter's wedding. She did not need to be there one more week. She was about to be sent home. She could have did what Joan did.
Yes, I would be shocked if you were like, actually, I'm going to be on a reality show. Can't make it to your big day. I would be like, what? Are you serious? So I would be stunned. And it seems like the daughter gave her approval, but still, you'd be like, no, I'm going to still be at your wedding. Like, I'm leaving, right? She had not gone in one-on-one, right? She was just on a bunch of group dates. She should have known, okay, this was fun. Gary's a nice guy. I like him, but this is not going to work. I would have left the day before, been like, sorry, I got to see my daughter's wedding, and leave. Or, just go. He's not the one. She had to have known. Or she is Delulu, living in Delulu land.
She might be.
Girl.
One-way ticket.
Girl, come on. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Something else that I didn't love was when Gerry made some very questionable decisions this season. And I really did not like when he sent people who I was convinced were going to go further. Like when he sent fan favorites Ellen and Faith home. I truly thought Faith was the one. I thought Faith was going all the way. I really did.
She was my first pick. I thought she was really the one he would choose. But, I have my own theories about that. But sometimes men want the safe choice. They want someone who they don't have to worry too much about, in keeping engaged and in love with them. 60 years old, beautiful, fun, riding horses. She is a radio host. She's a teacher in high school. I mean, she has a full life. She's active, stunning, and mature, just articulate, all the positives, right? She just seemed to be a nice woman. Yeah, that's like a filly that he had to tame. But meanwhile, you've got Theresa over here who's, clippity clop, clippity clop, clippity clop. Gerry, I love you. You're amazing. I'll never go anywhere. I love you. I'll always be here. Gary's like, listen, I want this lady over here who I don't ever have to worry about because she will always be there. That Leslie, the hip hop dancer, a fitness instructor, and then you've got this Faith, the horseback rider, DJ. Oh, they were a little, I think, too risky, too hard a leap for him, too big a leap for him to make. Again, that's just one theory of mine. It really could be chemistry. It could be a whole lot of other things. What do you guys think?
I think it's a good theory. And didn't Gerry say in the show that Theresa would be like safe or comfortable? Like he articulated that. So you're not wrong. He is very clear.
You were spot on.
That Theresa, it would be like easier to fit, right? She could easily jump into his life, wouldn't push him on things, kind of happy-go-lucky, aloof, delulu, whatever you want to call it. She could fit right there into his, senior life. And I think Faith was a bit more of a risky choice, to your point. I also think Ellen, he just maybe wasn't attracted to. If you look at who his final three were, they were all these like brunettes and on the taller side besides Theresa. And like Ellen just did not fit that mold. So I think Gerry had a type. Ellen was not that type, even though they had like a good, mature like connection. And then Faith shockingly didn't make the cut because he, I think, was very like attracted to Leslie and was intrigued by her. And then Theresa was the safe bet.
That's not new. Let me tell you ladies that. People have been making those decisions for a long time, choosing the safe option because people naturally don't want to get their heart broken. And sometimes they go with who they think they don't ever have to worry about leaving.
I totally agree. Gerry, started to make some questionable decisions at the end. He had a great first half of the season, not so great second half in my eyes. Coming in, he was, the golden child, right? Everyone loves him. But then he started, fumbling a bit. And I think it, hands down, one of my least favorite moments of the season was when he just started to love bomb everyone. One of the worst parts of the whole season is when he's at Faith's hometown and he's like hugging Faith and he's like kissing her. And he says, they were like, should we say it? Should we say it? And her whole family is sitting right there. Okay, and they kiss and he's like, I love you. I love you. In front of her whole family. Tough. And then she goes home 2 days later.
Really tough.
Make it make sense. It's not adding up. The math is not really adding. That made me so mad.
That was troubling to me too, Laura.
Shelby, what did you think about Gerry kissing Faith and saying I love you to her in front of her whole family?
I thought it was awful because he ended up saying I love you and was being so nice to Leslie as well. So right away I was like, okay, so we've now said this to two people. You clearly are going to break a heart. I also think there's another dimension that we typically don't see, right, with the regular Bachelor, because you're seeing parents and like friends or siblings, but you're seeing grown adult kids and grandkids. And that's like a different dimension to me. And the fact that like grandkids are playing with Gerry and hearing these things and see their grandma happy, like that
No.
That is something you don't mess with. So I felt because of the different dynamics of the families being there, I felt like he shouldn't have done that, especially how we know it worked out, the fact that Faith went home that week. So I thought that was really bad. I also think this shows that this is a tough structure for a show. Like Gerry started out strong, but then by the end, he started to have the same issues we've seen Zach have and Clayton have and Ben Higgins have. Like saying I love you to multiple people and not knowing how to make decisions. I think it clearly shows that The Bachelor is not made for the weak. And even the most emotionally mature people like a Gerry can struggle when they have to make decisions and are juggling multiple relationships.
That's a great point. And my least favorite moment from the season was during Fantasy Suite Week. Specifically, Leslie was first, and he tells her, you're the one. And it also comes out, after the season ends. Leslie said that Gerry said to her, save the date. during the fantasy suites. He said, save the date. And then the next day, he's on the date with Theresa. And he's like, yeah, like, I don't really know how I feel about her. I can't stop thinking about Leslie.
Okay.
But I'm gonna give her
listen
a
to this.
chance.
Oh
I'm
gosh.
gonna give her a chance. See what happens. She deserves that. And then Gerry ends up picking Theresa. It just doesn't make any sense.
Make it make sense. It was like a complete 360. I'm like, what happened in their conversations in the fantasy suite that made him literally go from 100% into Leslie and not feeling Theresa to, oh, Theresa's the one.
Are y'all ready to move on to our categories?
I am.
I think so. I'm trying to get ready. Let's go. Okay.
All right, Mom and Shelby, who or what from Golden Bachelor season 1 did you love to hate?
It's not so much who as in the behavior. And Leslie came to meet his daughters and granddaughters. And I don't know, it was one of the first things she said, or at least the way it was edited. She says, oh, F. She mentions, she uses an expletive. And I'm like, wait, what? Why are you doing that? And I felt like there was nervous laughter with the daughters. And Gerry said, oh, that was with an exclamation mark, not a question mark kind of thing. Ha ha. But in my mind, it just didn't feel very classy. Like, I don't think you're meeting his family, his children and grandchildren for the first time. You should put your best foot forward. I would have never, used that sort of language in front of people I've met like an hour before. I just thought it was not smart to do. And that's not a big deal. I mean, honestly, there was not a lot to love to hate for me in the show, but maybe I guess the I love yous to everybody. I didn't like that. I can tell you that for sure.
For me, I think Shelby feels the same way. We kind of have the final trio in love to hate category, Gerry, Theresa, and Leslie. Yeah. For the exact reasons you were saying, Mom, right? Leslie, I don't know. She wasn't a super likable character on the season. I know a lot of other people felt that way. It was kind of hard to root for her. Yeah, I personally didn't love her. I think in the end, seeing her, speak up against Gerry and kind of defend herself after the trauma he put her through, I did like seeing that. But up until then, there was nothing about Leslie that I was really rooting for.
I'm aligned. She felt very needy, if that makes sense. Like, throughout the season, whenever there was a group date and she didn't like something, like the fact she couldn't get her like fun 80s costume in a group date and had to wear like the leather jacket, she kind of pouted and got upset. And when other women would talk about their date, she'd like get upset, or if she wouldn't get a one-on-one, she'd get like, she was just like a lot of emotional lows and highs. And whenever she was with Gerry, it was kind of like a needy like behavior. So I didn't love that energy, especially when you compared it to like a Faith or an Ellen, who just seemed a bit more like secure and a bit more confident. And so that's why I have Leslie here. And it's interesting. It seemed like you said, Laura, almost everyone watching the show felt the same way about Leslie and Theresa. For some reason, they were not as likable or root-worthy and ended up being the final two. So it's crazy. I don't know what Gerry saw, but the audience was not seeing it.
No.
So, Mom and Laura, what about hate to hate? Who or what did you hate to hate this season?
I don't have a super strong opinion here. There isn't something I couldn't stand. I would say love bombing, or quote, I love you. I did not enjoy that this season. It was used incorrectly. Empty promises to Faith, to Leslie. It was just a lot of miscommunication. So I would say love bombing. And something that really stood out to me after the final rose, and also the woman to all, like Gerry, he was like hugging Faith for a really long time, and then he also was hugging Leslie for a really long time. And then when Jesse asked Gerry, oh, what about Theresa? Why Theresa? He was like, well, Theresa knows how to nurture a relationship. And I thought that was such a dig. I Like that, I felt so uncomfortable when he said that. Because he is directly saying and implying that Leslie does not know how to nurture relationships.
Because
she's been divorced twice.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I'm like, that is really hurtful. And that was like putting the dagger directly into her biggest insecurity. So the communication this season was just, I did not like that. Gerry said some really harmful, hurtful things.
You know, when you mentioned that, Laura, but I almost feel like, you know, when he and Leslie had their moment, Leslie was salty. I mean, she was
mad.
She was still mad. And, you know, she kept saying, well, words are important to me. They say something about your character. When your words don't line up, you know, it has something to do with your integrity or lack thereof. And I thought, oh, okay. Yikes. So, you know, and she's saying things were said in the fantasy suite that were not, you know, said in front of the cameras. So much so, those words led me to believe that I need to write my vows. I want to go out and buy a dress. And so, you know, to your point, girls, really be careful with how you communicate with people, because if you're so much on the fence, this is hard, it could go this way or that way, then try to moderate whatever it is you're saying, because you're really dealing with people's emotions here.
Shelby, what did you hate to hate this season?
I've already talked about the structure of the show, like how I think this season highlighted its flaws. Like someone like Gerry really struggled at the end. And this season, because you actually had genuine people on the show who put their heart out there, they really got hurt and heartbroken. Whereas sometimes when it's like these 23-year-olds, like they'll get over it. They're gonna find someone soon. But these women, you could feel their like pain and heartbreak. Like when Faith and Gerry talked at the Women Tell All and had that moment, like it was so sad. And Leslie being so hurt, like you could see that these women felt strongly about him. So I just think the show, how it ended, people being heartbroken was tough for me. And I'm going to put Jesse Palmer in here, but not for what you think. I actually think Jesse was good this season, but I hate to hate him for not being consistent. You are awful on The Bachelor and Bachelorette. He's not great on Bachelor in Paradise. So why on Golden Bachelor do you bring your personality and your fun and your energy? And Laura and I recently were watching Holiday Baking Championship, which Jesse hosts, and he's great. So I just need him to bring that energy to the entire franchise, to all the times he hosts. Because I'm missing.
But maybe it has more to do with the content. I mean, the Golden Bachelor, like you said, you know, it's exciting, it's new, it's fresh. And dealing with 20-somethings arguing, fighting over nonsense, it maybe is not terribly exciting to be a part of that.
But it's his job.
That's a fair point.
You know? Like,
that's why he gets paid the big bucks.
You're paid to host this. And we see you host other things with more energy and excitement. So I just want to see that consistently.
I agree. I second that. Jesse Palmer is not my favorite. And seeing him on the Food Network as a host, I'm like, whoa, he is so good. Compared to when he's doing Bachelor stuff, he's not that good to us.
Hey, listen, he's also doing, you know, football. I don't know, I can't remember if it was NFL or college, but look, he's
the hardest working man in showbiz.
He's saying books.
He's busy. Somebody likes him. He's busy.
Clearly. Okay, Mom, did you have something you had for hate to hate for this season?
Well, I do have something to share because it was troubling, but it was really after the season ended. It was when they were showing the bloopers and Sandra passing gas on camera. What was that? Oh, and I was like, girl, and she was like, she had a straight face. She's like, Oh wait, come on now. That was a lot. That was a lot. Am I right?
You're right.
Come on, girl. Come on, girl.
She did a lot of questionable things. Missing her daughter's wedding, passing gas on live TV.
No.
who or what do we have for Love to Love?
I feel like we've talked about this already, but Ellen and Faith were my favorites. Love to love them. If we have a Golden Bachelorette, I would love to see either of them in that seat. And I also think Ellen just has a lot of personality, so I hope we just see her more.
Well, my love to love really are the women themselves, showing that being 60-something, 70-something is not the end, but the beginning. It's part of the journey that is ever-changing, and being active, engaged, smart, athletic, funny. The jokes they were telling, teasing each other, faking injuries, and trying to woo Gerry. It was all a lot of fun. On the roller coaster, I loved all of that. And they were comfortable showing the wrinkles and the crepey skin. Because guess what? At this point, they're like, you know what? Love it or, leave it. This is who I am. There's more to me than the shell. There's a lot more that's here. And I'm ready to find love. So I was excited to see these women who, in some cases, said they didn't think that love was possible ever again for them. So to have them on the show and find hope and to be authentic and beautiful in their 60s and 70s, I love that. That was, I think, truly inspirational.
Yeah, I totally agree. I loved the cast, as we mentioned. So Shout out to the producers. I usually cannot stand.
Yes.
Give them their flowers.
I usually cannot stand the Bachelor producers. They're usually the worst. They make me mad. But this time, I did enjoy how they produced this season. I thought the women were amazing. The casting was great. I also, even though Gerry was very problematic towards the end, I did enjoy him in the beginning, and I also just loved his voice. He had the funniest sayings. He was like, the way he spoke to the woman was just so funny and so sweet. I enjoyed his quirky sayings and how he just would describe things in such a funny hallmark way. It sounded like he was reading from a script. It didn't sound like any normal person speaks like this.
Yeah,
it's
I don't know
he's
where
the grandpa in a movie. And they were
on this guy. I mean, like central casting, where'd they find this guy? I mean, he was so perfect as the first Golden Bachelor.
Definitely.
I'd also throw in Love to Love, the golden rose at the end. Did not see that coming. Like during the proposal.
That was cute.
I was like, oh, so cute. And I love all the golden puns. The Golden Bachelor, Golden Rose, Golden Years, Golden Wedding. Just love it. Producers outdid themselves. It's great.
Check. I totally agree. The golden rose at the end that he gave to Theresa was a really nice moment. I loved that. Okay, Mom. So now we're moving on to our game, Red Flag, Green Flag, 1, 2, 3. And we have some hot questions to ask you, and you got to give us your hot takes. Tell us how you feel. Okay. So our first question, is it a red flag to say I love you to multiple people?
Girl, do we even have to ask this question? Yes, and yes. Can't you just say, I think you're very special. You're really a wonderful woman. You're one of the kindest people I've ever met. I mean, you can say something besides I love you. That's too much. Yeah. Or I'm feeling like, we're moving in the right direction. But to say I love you and in front of children, okay, no, not in front of the children. I mean, that's like a crime, okay? You can't say these things in front of children and grandchildren, or even to a person, unless you mean it, because it is misleading. That's a red flag. That's blinking. Blinking bad. Don't do it. Stop.
I agree.
Done.
I miss the good old days on The Bachelor when they didn't say I love you to everyone.
No.
I miss it.
What happened? No, please. That's what I mean. Did the producers tell these contestants now, the bachelors and bachelorettes, to, hey, tell them that you love them. If that's what you're feeling, say it.
Maybe.
I mean,
who knows?
What is love anyway? How do we even define love? What are we talking about? Lust here? I mean, you barely know these people and you're in love?
Is it a green flag? to go on a dating show recently after your spouse passes?
I think you need time to process the loss of someone you've been in a relationship with for years. That just doesn't go away. And it never, frankly, goes away, those emotions, but they're going to be different, especially if that person is no longer physically present. So the idea that you can go from a relationship that had all this meaning and purpose and that you were in for so many years into a reality show 3 months, 6 months, I would even argue 9 months later, I think that's a lot. I think you're sort of on the rebound. So I think you need a couple of years. I've heard people say at least 1 year. You wait at least a year. But I don't even know. If you've been married 30, 40, 50 years, 1 year may not be enough. I don't know. But then those people may say, hey, look, I can't wait 10 years. I'm 67 or I'm 75. I don't want to wait that long. You know, marriage and relationships, they all mean something different to different people, right?
Overall, do you think the Golden Bachelor is a wait or a watch?
Oh, please, a watch. A watch. You invited me on this show to talk about it. Yes, a watch. I loved it. I looked forward to every episode. I thought it was wonderful. And I enjoyed, to your point earlier, the cast was amazing. And I think you have to have the right cast. I do think because women have lived some life, right? They're in their 60s and 70s. They don't have much to prove anymore. I've arrived, take it or leave it, love it or like it. I don't care. It is who it is. I am who I am. I think it's more interesting to watch. And I loved how the women were so supportive of one another. Oh, I think it was after the final rose. And you see Faith sort of sitting there. All the women are holding hands as if sitting in the front row. I'm like,
so sweet.
Look at that. When you have that sort of chemistry and synergy, then it makes for great television.
Agreed.
Definitely. Yeah,
it's a watch for me.
A watch for me too. I think that this was so much better than the normal season of The Bachelor. I've been disappointed by pretty much every season for the past 5 years. Granted, Gerry did really irritate me towards the end. So I think the first half I was in love with, I loved. But I think overall, I genuinely really enjoyed this season. Every lead has their flaws, but we gotta get into the drama that happened post-season. Drama.
Ooh.
Okay.
Tell us.
Have y'all heard about this Hollywood Reporter article?
Yes, girl.
I have not.
Oh, yes.
Mom, tell us about it. Give us the tea.
Well, okay. So you have to understand, if you're going to go on a reality TV show and there is a lot of attention, the world is watching, the Golden Bachelor, it had these amazing ratings, everyone's talking about it. There are always going to be a few reporters out there who decide to dig around and try to see what's going on and learn a little bit more about Gerry Turner and these other contestants. Well, guess what? The Hollywood Reporter releases this bombshell article stating that Gerry's work history doesn't really line up with what is on his LinkedIn profile. Someone had the nerve to go to his LinkedIn profile and sort of say, okay, well, you said you worked in sales at this time and you said you did this and that you owned a restaurant. Well, no, you couldn't have retired at this year because you would have only been 51. I don't know. It was all these different things. So they talked about his profession, his history of working, and that it didn't really add up. And then apparently they mentioned that he had been in a long-term relationship like 1 month after his wife had passed away for almost 2.5, 3 years.
What?
I don't know about you girls, but
I can't believe it.
I got the impression from the show that he really had not been in any kind of meaningful relationship since his wife died. Was that your impression?
Yes, that's what it gave.
A friend sent me a TikTok about it, kind of breaking down the article, saying that Gerry, was kind of inconsistent about his work history, saying that he was a restaurateur, but he owned a restaurant decades ago, for like a short period of time. Yes. Apparently, I think the 90s or something, like not recently. And that he had this nearly 3-year-long relationship with a woman, starting about a month after his wife died. So this woman they gave her the name Carolyn in the article, but she's anonymous. And she came forward to the Hollywood Reporter after watching the season, and after him saying, "Oh, I haven't been in a relationship since my wife died, all this stuff. I haven't been in love since my wife." And she was like, "These are lies. I need to say something and share my story." Apparently she gained maybe 10 pounds. This, these are alleged. And then he was like, "You don't look good. You need to lose weight," something along those lines. Ugh. So he was making fun of how she looked, which wasn't great.
I think, Laura, I read that supposedly he disinvited her from a reunion or some event because she had put on weight.
Yes.
Anyway,
yes.
I don't know.
So stop. I don't want to hear anymore.
I don't like this. We're bursting the Gerry bubble because we were just saying he set the bar so high. He's amazing. Nearly perfect. Oh, wow, Gerry. Well, listen, Gerry must be a good actor because he sure had me believing everything he was talking.
Yikes.
Oh, no.
I mean, and that's also frightening too, because you think you're a good judge of character, right? Like, he seems like, I mean, granted, it's a reality TV show, but television, it's hard to lie. The screen can expose you for who you really are. And so, I used to work in television, that's why I can say that. But anyway, I think it's difficult to be someone who you're not.
Do we know how Gerry's responded to these accusations?
So I did see an interview with him and Theresa, and the interviewer asked, "Have you seen this article?" And he was like, "I'm focused on my future. I don't care about this article." But then she asked again about this alleged 3-year relationship. And he was like, "Well, that's not really how it was." And then he just said, "I'm focused on the future, my future with Theresa." He did not address it at all. So clearly there must be some truth to it, because he's just denying, not addressing the controversy. So I believe what the woman said. Why would she lie about this? Maybe not everything is true, but I do think that there was this woman and he probably just said, for the show, this doesn't add up with my narrative, right? This is not a part of my image, not part of my brand. So I'm just gonna not mention her.
Yikes.
Maybe Gerry embellished his resume a little bit. He called himself a restaurateur, even though he ran a little diner for a year or two. But he seems to, have passed the vetting process by the Bachelor people. I mean, they had to have looked into some of this stuff, don't you think?
Well, the Bachelor notoriously has bad vetting processes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they just a couple examples, right? Rachel Kirkconnell, who ended up with Matt James. Okay. We don't like to talk about them, but yeah. So that was a situation. She went to a racist, white antebellum party during college, and she was on the show. And then there's so many people who have racist tweets who are somehow on the show. And I remember on Rachel Lindsay's season, remember there's this country guy. This is going back a little bit.
Was his name Lee?
Yes, I think Lee sounds right. Apparently there were receipts that he was actively saying racist things online. Okay. And then he was doing things to the Black cast members.
Oh no, Laura,
and was on the season of the first Black Bachelorette.
Right. Exactly. So I'm the producers
doesn't add up.
Either are being very calculated or they just don't vet anyone. I really don't think they're doing extensive vetting processes.
Well, that's disappointing.
I think Gerry's a bad person, though. Do I think he's a good communicator? Not really. I think
I feel like he was articulate, but I hear where you're going. Sorry.
Yes, he's articulate. I do agree with that. But the way he neglected to mention this relationship, right? This 3-year relationship, and the way he treated Leslie and Theresa and Faith in the final few episodes, he did not communicate to them the way in which I would have liked to see that. So this whole article, I believe some of it, but I'm definitely taking it with a grain of salt.
Well, thank you, Laura and Mom, for bringing the tea. I had no idea. I'm getting all my news from y'all. I love it.
I'm excited. I brought some tea to the show.
You did.
Yes.
Proud of you.
That's it.
now for our What to Watch segment. Mom, is there anything that you're watching these days? What are you excited about? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I love reality television. It just helps me to unwind, and I'm entertained by it. I'm enjoying the Amazing Race. That's a show I want you girls to go on. I love that show because it's a travel show. You see really unique, wonderful places all around the world, and then you have an opportunity to experience the culture. Two teams of two race around the world, and at the end of this whole race, you can win $1 million. So that's something I watch. I'm watching right now. We're huge sports fans, so I am currently watching in-season Hard Knocks with the Miami Dolphins. Loving that. Tua, I'm really, rooting for Tua after watching this, and this other young man recently was injured, and he was, exciting to watch as well, and I felt bad that he actually got hurt. But the coach, Mike McDaniel, interesting guy. But I do love in-season Hard Knocks. And also, of course, I'm watching NFL football. That's because I love it. And we're also in a fantasy football league together. And might I add, I'm in first place.
You are.
Yes,
you are.
The fantasy league. Okay. Selling Sunset, by the way. I'm watching that now.
Nice.
That's the latest season is on. And look, what's not to love? Dreamy homes and, great fashion. So it's a fun, easy show to watch.
Yes. Well, there's a lot happening in the Bachelor franchise. Yes. So we're super excited because this was actually one of the first good seasons of The Bachelor in a long time. Mm-hmm. So the golden wedding of Gerry and Theresa is happening January 4th. Mark your calendars.
We'll all have to watch together.
I know. We'll all be together for the new year. So so we're very excited and looking forward to that. Even though I would basically trash Gerry and Theresa the whole time, I will be watching their wedding. Of course.
Well, I mean, the Bachelor franchise has actually had a couple of previous weddings that were broadcast on television. But this is, again, different because it is the Golden Bachelor and very exciting. And yes, we'll be watching with our popcorn. Will be fun.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I cannot wait for the new season of The Bachelor starring, fan favorite Joey from Charity season. It premieres on January 22nd. So that'll be here before we know it.
Joey, yes. He's so cute.
I haven't seen the last 2 seasons of The Bachelor, but Joey's bringing me back in. I cannot wait.
Yes, girl. Watch.
And the promos, I don't know if you guys have seen the promos, his photos, the videos look great.
Oh, yeah.
They have like a tennis theme, like it's courting season. It's so cute.
Okay.
Classic. Classic Bachelor. I agree. I'm very excited for Joey season. I barely watched both Clayton and Zach season. This is the first Bachelor regular season that I'm actually looking forward to. But I will say, I'm very excited for the future of the Golden Bachelor franchise, right? Yeah. Who's going to be the next Golden Bachelorette? Will there be Golden Bachelor in Paradise? I need to see this happen. It would be a crime for it not to happen. Who do you think is going to be the Golden Bachelorette?
Okay, my vote is Faith. That's number 1. That's my vote.
I really like Faith and Ellen, but I think given how this season ended, Leslie has like the best story. You know how sometimes they pick, right, like the heartbroken runner-up who got devastated to be the next lead because we're going to be rooting for them, and they made it to the end. And Leslie, right, she's a lot of personality, she's younger, tall, right, a dancer, they could have a dancing date. Like, I think she would fit the mold of a Golden Bachelorette well, but I think the problem is she doesn't have as many fans. Like, I think Ellen has more fans, I think Faith has more fans, I think even April, Joan, people that left earlier have more fans. So I think they can really pick anyone. But if I what is a betting person, I would say Leslie.
I agree with what Shelby's saying. I think Leslie is best set up for the Bachelorette, but I really think they could just pick anyone from the season and it would be good. People are saying April. People are saying Susan, the Kris Jenner doppelganger. Yes. Like everyone, so you could literally pick anyone from the season and it would be good. So I'm not picky. I'm not picky.
Yeah. Just make it happen.
But here's my concern about that. And I think this is what this will be a bit of a challenge. The life expectancy for men has gotten worse, and women on average outlive men by 6 years. So the average life expectancy for a woman is 79, for men 73. So are there going to even be any men out there that aren't married that are in decent shape who would want to do this? As we said, it's not for the faint of heart, but who would want to do this? I think it's going to be hard to find. And look, it's the United States of America, so hopefully they can find like 25 men. But I don't think it's going to be as easy to do because they're just generally speaking more single women in that age group than there are men.
Right. I've heard people talk about this because this is a real concern that, of course, women keep it together, right? We're going to keep looking good until the day we die, right? And there's just more eligible women than there are men, just across all age groups, right?
Well, so it's going to be you girls. That's right. Even for you girls, when you're looking at the group of available young men.
Yes. So for everyone, there's just more eligible women than men. And for the reason you said, Mom, it's going to be a lot harder to cast a Golden Bachelorette season than a Golden Bachelor season. So I do agree with that. So if we do get a Golden Bachelorette, I don't know if it's going to be a year from now, right? The same time that Gerry's season aired. It might be a couple years until we get that because it'll be hard to cast, but they got to make it happen.
I hope so. And like you said, because of the popularity of the show, maybe there will be a lot of, buzz and people may be encouraged to participate. Let's hope.
Yeah. Well, the Golden Bachelor finale had like the best ratings for the franchise in years. So people came out and showed up for this. So I think hopefully that means ABC will make more iterations of it. Fingers crossed.
Yes.
One other reality show I'll throw in there that Laura and I have been watching is Love Island Games. Mom is not as big of a fan, but Laura and I were big fans. It's currently streaming on Peacock. Check it out.
Yeah, we love reality shows, and that's just one of them we've been enjoying recently.
No, that's not true. I do like Love Island Games. Actually, it's gotten better. It's gotten better.
Okay.
I'm enjoying the games. I'm enjoying the couples, and it's been interesting. So I haven't written off the show quite yet, even though the last time was lukewarm. But I'm coming around. I'm coming around to that.
You're getting warmer.
Nice.
I am.
Well, Mom, this is the end of our episode. Thank you so much for coming on. I know.
Listen, I feel like I just showed up and we've been talking like on a FaceTime call, mom and daughters. But here I am and it's wrapping up. So thank you. It's been a pleasure. And I'm just so proud of you girls and for the opportunity to be a part of this today.
Oh, thank you, Mom.
Thank you. It was amazing having you on.
You know what? Can I just say, one of the things I noticed, not many of those women had on glasses. Did you notice? I mean, I started to think I should not wear glasses.
Get those contacts, Mom.
People in their 60s and 70s are not wearing glasses, and I think it makes them look younger, right? But I'm afraid to touch my eyeballs, with contact lenses. So anyway, so these have to come back on.
I can't. You look amazing with either way, with or without glasses.
A stunner regardless.
Whatever. Thank you, girls. That's what my children will tell me. Yes, thank you. But yes, I'm wondering, like, dang, Gerry, you don't wear reading glasses? Come on. 72? Yes, you do. I think I'm going to get rid of these things, girl.
I can't. Well, thank you, Mom, for being here. And like you said, it feels like we're on a FaceTime call because that's why we started the podcast, right? We would have these hour-long conversations about The Bachelor and all our favorite shows, and we were like, this needs to be shared with the world, right? So a lot of this podcast is because of you. So thank you. Thank you, Mom.
Oh, that makes me really. What does Shelby do? Are you?
A slow tear just down the eye. I can't.
Can't. Okay,
I can't.
Okay.
Well, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. 5 stars. We really appreciate your support. Go follow Sisters We Watch on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter. We're everywhere. Go check us out at sisterswewatch.com too to get all the updates and information there. And check us out on our YouTube channel and go subscribe.
Yes, we want to hear from y'all. DM us on social media, comment on our posts, respond to our Q&As. You can also email us at sisterswhowatch@gmail.com. Just stay in touch, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, guys.
Sisters Who Watch.
Bye.
Stay watching. Stay watching.
Yay.